so it's Miss Petheram here. I'd like to say welcome girls, welcome Year 10 to National Careers Week. Welcome staff, and also welcome to our guest speakers this morning. We've got Miss Mohammed from Oliver Bernard and Miss Lawrence from Facebook. So a really big welcome to the Ursuline virtually this morning. So each year as a school, we celebrate National Careers Week. The aim of the week is to empower positive change through careers education. So let's get started. So what are the learning outcomes for today? Well, they are to raise aspirations, challenge stereotypes, and in these unprecedented times, create a feeling of optimism relating to your current and future career interests. So how will we do this? Well, we will do this by education and informing you about the current and future labour market. What is it like at the moment and what is it expected to be like in the future? Highlighting the different industry sectors, employers operating in the sectors, and opportunities for school leavers with a particular focus on early careers and apprenticeships through real life employer stories. So this week during each and every year group assembly, we've had employers come to speak to you as students to talk about their career story and their industry sectors. So they are all going to be in your careers library. If we look now, before I welcome our speakers and ask them to share their career stories of jobs of the future. This is labour market information. This is the most recent and up-to-date information. So technology, absolutely key to every sector. Every job role, we pretty much use technology now. So what are the growth sectors? The growth sectors are the health and social care sector, the building and construction, the professional services, so business and finance, education, and tech. Tech is a really big area of growth. And I'm really pleased to be able to invite Miss Lawrence from Facebook to not only talk about her career story, but working in a sector that has achieved phenomenal growth and is expected to do in the future. And I will leave you with a final message before I hand over. In this week in the budget, one of the key messages in terms of how the budget the Prime Minister is going to spend the budget and where he is going to put the money going forward. One is in apprenticeships, with the key message this year, building back better with apprenticeships. So this is a key pathway as school leavers for you to consider in the future. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Miss Mohammed to just talk about her role and how she supports us with girls in tech. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. So I am Noorsheen Mohammed, and I work for Oliver Bernard. We are a tech recruitment agency based in London. So we are actually running a programme called CodeHers, where we are working with schools like Ursuline and other girls' schools across the UK. Our main goal is to educate and inspire girls to get about a career in technology, as we would like you to consider moving into this in the future. This is an industry that is keen to improve diversity and get more women into technology. So I'll actually pass you over to Annie, Annie Lawrence, who will tell you more about what it feels like and how it is to work in technology and her experience. Thanks.
Thank you, Miss Mohammed.
You.
Welcome, Miss Lawrence.
Hello. So apologies, you probably saw me peeping in as we joined. Let me just see if I can share my screen. Just quickly. There we go. Let me see. Is anything sharing yet?
Yes, yeah, we can see the first slide, but then we can, yeah. But you need to just, yeah.
Is that better?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, awesome.
Brilliant.
Okay, cool. So, as Miss said, I'm Annie. I'm a solutions engineer here at Facebook. In London, we have quite a few offices, so I thought I'd just specify it's in London. I'm here in the UK. But yeah, Facebook. So a lot of you probably recognize these symbols and these icons that you can see on your screen. The first one is obviously our Big Blue app. That's what we call it internally. Our Big Blue app is the Facebook app. Then we have Messenger, then we have Instagram, then we have WhatsApp, and the final one, I'm not sure many of you know what it is, maybe so, but it is Oculus, which is our VR headsets and our AR team as well. So those are the kind of different subsectors of the Facebook organization. And as you've seen recently, we have like a new logo. As you can see, the big Facebook has changed, and that's because Facebook as a whole is representing not just the Facebook app anymore, it's also the Messenger, the Instagram, the WhatsApp, and the Oculus. So as you know, without going into so much detail, Facebook obviously is a social media and social connecting company, and they were formed back in 2004. And with that, they have 2.6 billion users, daily users a month. Now, just to put that in perspective, and I I say this, but I'm worried your geography teachers are probably going to be like, that is wrong. But that is like having 2 islands dedicated to Facebook users the size of China. And if you want to be more factual on that, be my guest after. But it is quite a lot. And I don't think people realize just how many users we're looking after a month. And it is why the company is so busy and why our roles are so busy is because we're looking after so many people. And although this is 2.6 billion users a month, think about that on a daily basis, how many people are using our services and our technology. So, there might be hiccups here and there, such as you guys may have come across some crashes before. These are actually internally known as SEVs. And that would be a SEV1, which means that the issue is affecting the public, and all engineers, including myself, will kind of help out and make sure that the fire is put out. But that's just a perspective on the kind of setup of the company and how busy it can really get. This is a map. This is actually not a map of our offices. It is a map of our offices. I apologize. It's a map of our offices, and included in that is our data centers. And our data centers control all of the servers that kind of make sure Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp and all the other technologies are up and running. And they are really flat as well. Just fun fact, they are all kind of one level, and they use external air, like cool air, to cool down all the servers inside, rather than using like ACs, like air conditioning and things. So there you go, fun fact. As you can see, there's these little red lines. These are actually the offices that I've already visited. So I have been to Dublin. Dublin is our kind of core HQ for Europe and Europe, Middle East, and Africa kind of relationships. Obviously, I'm based in the London office. And then, as you can see, I've actually been to America. I've had the kind of the great experience of flying to both Seattle and also California, which is where our main HQ is. So that is the experiences I had also as an apprentice at Facebook. And with that being said, about me, so like obviously who am I? I just introduced you to Facebook, but who am I? So like I said, I'm Annie. I'm a solutions engineer for our global gaming team. Our global gaming team basically is looking after all of our accounts and all of our advertisers that utilize our Facebook and Instagram apps. So I'm a massive gaming fan, and that means looking after some really popular publishers and developers, many of which, if you think of a company in the gaming sector right now, I have probably spoken to them or my colleagues have worked with them. And then what does solutions engineering do? So solutions engineering is a mixture of software engineering, which is computer science based and IT based, but it's also working with clients and accounts to make sure that their tech setup is okay, and if we need to build new products to help their business grow on Facebook, we build those products. So an example of this is on Instagram. If you come across any posts that have kind of like little tags to women's wear, so like fashion, maybe like ASOS and Boohoo, if they are kind of like tagged, one feature we created was localized shopping. So those tags are then translated to the language that I speak in automatically. And the price is kind of like is changed to be localized to the country that I'm originated from. So it makes the experience a lot more bespoke and a lot more appropriate for users. Another example is dynamic ads. So if you've ever gone on to, I don't know, Boohoo, ASOS, whatever, and then you go on Facebook, you might see some advertisements that are specific to you. So maybe you're like, wow, like those jeans look really good, and they're something that I would buy from Boohoo. That is us. We've like dynamically shown you something that's more appropriate. So those are a little bit like two products that I work with. But as you could hear, it's not just tech orientated. And even if you are in the tech sector like I am, like engineering, so you still work with a variety of verticals. And by verticals, I mean not just, you know, tech. I mean working with fashion or working with health and care. Like there's a lot of people that working with big organizations that are, you know, part of the kind of like cancer charities and that sort of thing. Schools, so the education sector, all of those different kind of like verticals come into play. So it's not a case of just going into tech and then that's it. You know, you may still be working with a different sector within that. So a little bit about my education. I started my GCSEs. I received like a great mixture of results, A star to C. And I then went on to do my A-levels. My A-levels were computer science, media studies, and theatre studies. Media studies was my favorite because it was like focusing on like marketing and advertising, but it also had like gaming in it, and I'm a sucker for playing games. So and computer science, like it was tricky. I went to an all-girls school too, and I soon became the only student to do computer science. So I then had to consortium, which means going to another school to finish my A-level in computer science. And it was hard. Like I'm not gonna lie, girls. Like it was tricky, and the reason for that was because I felt like a bit of an outsider, and like not just both in the school, but also in the industry that I want to go into. I was the only female doing computer science, so the class was full of guys, and it often felt really difficult to kind of see a mirror image of myself. And I would often kind of try and avoid the lesson. I'd still do the work. Like I absolutely loved computer science, as you can see. But I was just so nervous about kind of like, you know, continuing and going to lessons. So yeah, it was difficult, but we're here now, and that's the most like exciting part of it. Like I can look back, and although that was a challenge, we've definitely come through from that. So Facebook journey, I joined in September 2018 as an apprentice, one of the first apprentices for Facebook. And that was in marketing science. I did digital marketing apprenticeship, which was great. It was a mixture of kind of like tech and marketing, and also a little bit of kind of code and understanding how things are marketed on the internet. And then it was about halfway through, and I definitely should have gone into software engineering apprenticeship. And I adventured to Seattle. I worked with the Oculus and AR VR team for a week. I had an opportunity to explore a future product that isn't coming out for another couple of years. The office was like Avengers level, And I came back and I was like, engineering is for me. And that's when I made the change to engineering. And that's where I currently sit as a full-time employee now. And then, as you can see, I'm a sucker for gaming, as you mentioned. Motorbikes, I'm a massive motorbike fan. And doggos and memes, love memes. That's the only issue with probably working with me. I love using GIFs and memes. Anyway, our different routes. We have university, apprenticeship, and other routes. That's actually my sister and my mum for university. Both of my sisters went to uni. I was the first of my sisters to not go to uni, so I haven't been to uni at all. That's me in the middle when I had hair, like a bit more hair. I shaved it off for charity last year. Mad journey. And then other routes, it would not be a presentation if we didn't have like a random stock image. So I have no idea who that woman is, but enjoy. So we are looking at apprenticeships. That is me in my final week of my apprenticeship, actually. We were literally just about to go into lockdown. So I finished last year, 13th of March was my last day at Facebook, or so I thought. And yeah, like the office was pretty quiet because people were starting not to come in, and I was super excited because the top said transform, and I definitely had transformed from my time at school to now where I was. So yeah, very fitting. So this is Multiverse. This is the training provider I went with to look at apprenticeships. There are many training providers. Well, not many, but there are many training providers for apprenticeships. The issue with this is you may need to proactively and actively kind of get involved with that yourself. So you have probably a great support system at school to help you. But by that, I mean, my parents, had no real idea about apprenticeship opportunities, and that's okay. That's fine. Times have changed quite a lot. And by a lot, I really do mean a lot. When my parents were looking at apprenticeships, and this will probably be the same with all of you girls as well, when your parents and your grannies and your granddads, when they were looking at and probably some of your teachers as well, when they're looking at apprenticeships, that may have been more of a labour-driven role. By labour-driven role, I mean building. It could be mechanical-based, such as being a mechanic, engineering, hairdressing, that sort of thing. And now the opportunities are very broad, and the opportunities that you have with apprenticeships are very broad, and the qualifications too. So rather than me seeing this kind of apprenticeship and university level, we're starting to see actually this fluctuation of it's really dependent on what level apprenticeship you take on at what point. So you really can't compare it to uni. It's an alternative route. It's a different route. And I didn't ever think, I should have gone to uni. Actually, quite the opposite. I thought I'd made 100% the right choice and not going to uni and doing an apprenticeship. And that took me some time to kind of explain to my dad particularly, like, this is what I'm after, this is what I want to do. And for engineers, it's quite often that you'd go into computer science and do a degree, etc. But this is where we're saying there's also another way. If you're not kind of like, not interested, or maybe university is not the great fit for you. Around the time that I was looking, it wasn't. And that's where apprenticeships are, so there's always other ways, and you may have to, take that kind of responsibility and take that kind of grown up maturity and kind of educating your parents too. Like, don't be afraid to say, well, actually, like, I looked into this and this, and I can get this qualification out of it at the end of it. So with that said, what is an apprenticeship? So it's a nationally recognised qualification you attain whilst you're working, which was like cherry on the top for me, chef kisses. And the minimum is normally 12 months. Mine was 18 months, and that's normally the case for digital marketing apprenticeships at the moment. For Facebook, it certainly is. That's the same for engineering as well. But they could take way longer. It's personalized on the job and off the job training. So you still have like a coach, which is like the equivalent of a teacher, and you'll be learning at the same time. But with that, you're starting your career straight away. So I jumped into my tech career straight away, and it's really what I wanted to do. Like, girls, what I will say is, if you know what you want to do, you'll do absolutely anything to go and get it. And that was the sort of mentality that I had. I remember going, I'll explain in a little bit actually in the next slide, because it's more fitting. Let's just finish this slide. All Multiverse apprentices undertake the Multiverse Future Leaders Foundation program. So that's kind of like a leadership responsibility and qualification. And like I mentioned, there's over 200 new qualifications launched, from cybersecurity to digital marketing, accounting to software development, design, fashion, architecture. There's even some medicine-based apprenticeship routes now, such as nursing and veterinary. So do keep your eye open for that too. These apprenticeship routes are starting to peep in, which is really exciting. It goes to show how quickly times have changed. And then just to kind of wrap it up, this is the sort of process that I took. I had a kickoff day with Multiverse Office to find out kind of what I was interested in, what I was searching for. I had a goal of heading into a big tech company, and the reason for that was because I knew it challenged me, and I knew that the growth would be pretty good. So even if at the end of that apprenticeship I didn't have a full-time job, I still had that on my CV, all of the experiences and all of the sort of challenges and the growth opportunities within that company under my belt. And that was the most important thing for me. Interview prep, there are quite a few interviews. So you'll prep, you'll do like a video discussion and kind of get ready to do like a video portfolio of you so that they send it to the employer. And then you do interviews. So I had quite a few. I had interviews with the training provider to see whether the apprenticeship qualification that I was going for was right for me. And then I also had interviews with Facebook. So when you have decided what company you're going for, that's when the company will take over the interview process. So it will be Facebook recruiting, looking after the interview process, and not the apprenticeship training provider. So I had a couple of telephone interviews and then a in-office interview. And again, it was the same mentality of, you know, like, if I don't get this role, at least I have this under my belt, right? And that's what I did. Like, I was like, wow, I'm in the Facebook office. I remember FaceTiming my mum, like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. And even just having that was enough for me. Like, after just saying, you know, I had an interview at Facebook, and it was great, a learning experience too. And then fingers crossed, after you've got the offer, which is great. But apply for quite a few. I was naughty and I only applied for 2, and that's risky. I must have been in a funny mood and really thought I could push it, so that's what I did. And then finally, just to finish the presentation, there is something called Career Hacker, which is, if you're not sure what kind of career path you want to take, Career Hacker is like a little kind of quiz that kind of gives you an idea of the different resources and opportunities for your style of learning, or the type of kind of charisma that you have, etc. So it's really good. If you love taking BuzzFeed quizzes and whatever, I'm sure you'll like this because it has pictures. I took it yesterday and it was spot on. I did take an apprenticeship in the end, as you can see. And that's what it suggested for my type of learning. It's a rough guideline, so obviously don't take it as like 100% that's what you have to do, but it's a great starting point if you're not too sure. And also, Facebook do offer apprenticeship opportunities. We are now closed, but if you look around September time, when you are in probably final year of A-level, so probably not applicable for you guys just yet, but we do offer apprenticeships in engineering and IT. We are currently working on marketing at the minute. It was a pilot scheme that I was on, so it's a little bit more tricky to kind of organise the marketing side of Facebook opportunities. But hopefully, fingers crossed, by the time you guys are ready to get going, we should have more opportunities for you. But that's it, Miss. I think that is me finished. I hope that is okay.
Yes, no, thank you ever so much, Miss Lawrence. A really honest and engaging presentation, and great to hear about your apprenticeship pathway and your educational pathway from school and to where you are today. So really admirable and credible, and yeah, we are really pleased to have had you here this morning. And just girls, building on what Miss Lawrence said, you know, think about what Mr. Barton said in terms of we have the new T-level in digital production design and development. You know, that T-level qualification after you finish year 11, you start sixth form. If you're interested in getting into the tech, obviously industry, that could be one key pathway where you would have an opportunity to do an industrial placement, perhaps at Facebook or another organisation, while also studying on the same time. So it has got parallels with apprenticeships, and then you could go on from T-level to do apprenticeship. Or as Annie said, you could go down obviously the A-level pathway and think about apprenticeships thereafter. Also, in terms of what Miss Lawrence was saying about, you know, she had a number of interviews to get this role. It wasn't, you know, you have, and that's standard. We in the sixth form obviously can support you with that mock interviews for apprenticeships, and we can support you with obviously your applications. But where I want to get to now is to open the time remaining for you to ask Miss Lawrence, Miss Mohammed, any questions that you wish from the talk this morning. So do type them into the chat, and obviously then I can ask on your behalf. One question to get going, Miss Lawrence, is what do you think are the key skills that you would look for in a school leaver coming into the role that you're currently doing?
Yeah, great question. One thing that was mentioned to myself and is still applicable even now as a full-time employee is your ambition and your drive, you know, towards something. And by that, it's really easy for us to kind of set a goal in a certain sector and then not really kind of have anything different to kind of show in that, right? So by that I mean, girls, it's really the industry now is quite saturated, right? There's many of us, and each of you will get your results at the end of GCSEs, at the end of A-levels, and what makes you different to someone else who's also got exactly the same results as you? What makes you you? And it sounds really cringy. You've probably had multiple presenters or speakers say like, oh, what makes you you? But it is actually really important when you think about it. And for me, it was that drive towards engineering, you know, and me being like, oh, okay, computer science classes were not that great. I was the only female, and it was imposter syndrome was massive, you know, me not wanting to go to those lessons and that sort of thing. And I thought, you know what, screw that. You know, I should own the fact that I'm a female in this industry. So I started taking the time out of my day and really kind of exploring what I wanted to do. And if that was, you know, building, you know, silly little games and whatever, that's shown my interest towards that field no matter what. And that was the feedback that I got from my manager, the hiring manager, was that the portfolio side of my CV, so what I had extra, i.e. Whether it was something to do with YouTube, believe it or not, you know, like YouTube, if you guys ever are interested in that sort of thing, or presenting, extracurriculum activities are actually really important, and it's so overlooked at school. Like we just kind of, I did it probably, you know, typical kind of student, yeah, okay, whatever. Like whenever you hear those sort of presentations, it's actually really important, and having that sort of presentation side of it. So that's the tip I would give, and that's still the mentality that you should have when you get hired.
No, that's excellent. And I think it really resonated when you were talking about your passions in terms of gaming and how you've developed those into a career. And within the school, there is a lot of extracurriculars, but there's also an enrichment program where students develop different interests, join different clubs, join different societies for that very fact, as you
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
that
absolutely.
employers are looking for the holistic person. We've got a question in the chat, and maybe Ms. Mohammed would like to answer.
Oh, Lorraine, I think you might be muted.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, sorry, miss.
Sorry. So the question being is, and I say, Ms. Mohammed, I think you might be good to answer this. Do you think the career path is becoming more equal between the amount of men and women involved, or is it still very male dominated? Also, Miss Lawrence too.
Interesting question. So I think that the challenge that we're finding is actually getting women to interview for technology roles. There's just not enough out there. So at the moment, in terms of equal, the opportunities are equal, but there's just not enough women coming through. So that's the reason why Future Coders is trying to inspire girls to look at a career in tech. We want more women to go for interviews and pursue this as a career. And so yeah, in terms of that, we need more women to go into it so they can actually be interviewed.
I'll have my sorry, Vince. I'll just have my 2 cents on that. You heard from my story that confidence was poop at times. For computer science in particular, and I think that's the issue. It's I know there were so many girls at my school. I go into an all-girls school that they each wanted to go into, like, there was quite a few that wanted to go into tech, like engineering, gaming, that sort of thing, and I didn't see them in my class. And I definitely think that was more of a confidence issue rather than an opportunity like issue. And that's probably the same sort of thing when kind of going through that sort of like process of going to that career. So girls like, and I've seen quite a few girls in my year that are now studying for engineering, and it's I'm gutted, and I'm also fueled. Like, I'm gutted because I didn't see them in my class. Like, I didn't see that, and I think that was definitely more of a confidence issue and more of a, there wasn't enough kind of push, like, or support. But I definitely think there's a difference now, and we're getting there. Like, really want to get there, but you guys, I'm sure, can help as well as you go through the years.
Thank you. And I think that's the challenge for us as the careers team at the school, and working with Miss Mohammed. And that's why we're so grateful of the relationship in terms of each year we review the careers programme. We look at growth sectors, and we very much want to challenge those gender stereotypes and support our students to, develop their interests, whether it be engineering or tech. Is there any, I'm just conscious of time, is there any final questions? There's a couple of questions on the chat that are related to apprenticeships, but not particularly related to this talk. Very happy to answer them separately, just aware because of the time factor. Okay, do you need to have, if you go down the degree pathway, do you need to have a certain degree, or do you need to go to a certain, you need to work for big tech companies?
Yeah, of course. No, I think there's often this stereotype of you having to go to the top universities and you need to get a degree, full stop. And it's not the case anymore. We've actually had so many engineers join who don't have a degree in engineering, and it's actually one of the reasons why we're really pushing the apprenticeship scheme. I think there's often this stereotype that apprenticeships are only for young people, and it's actually not the case. It's also for people that are transitioning from one business sector to another. So short answer is absolutely not. Your degree can be in something else. Preferably, if you're heading into engineering, then obviously look towards computer science and IT-based qualifications. But there's no right or wrong in terms of university. It comes down to, again, what I said before in terms of what extra can you bring. We actually find that, and again, this is another reason why T-levels and kind of apprenticeship opportunities and internships are so important, is because it's really kind of easy to overlook the fact, even though someone's got a degree, are they set up for that working environment and doing that kind of job full time and having that fast paced movement? And that's where those sort of kind of opportunities come into. So no, it kind of, it's up to you what route you take. And then it's sort of the extra curriculum and what you can bring on the side that's really, really important for these big tech companies, believe it or not.
And just to quickly add to that, I obviously working for a tech recruitment agency. We have a number of people that apply for jobs that don't have a computer science degree. They've just drawing back onto extracurricular activities. They might have done coding from home in their spare time, built their own portfolio, played around with it and shown they can code. And they go in for a coding test and they've got the job that way. But also technology isn't just coding. You could go to, there's project management, which is managing projects within the team. So you don't need a computer science degree to do those other types of roles within tech. So that's something to consider.
Okay, thank you. And final question is, do you need to take a media studies A level if you want to be a game designer? That's putting you on the spot.
No. That was just something that I did. Obviously, try to look at A levels and subjects that may be applicable, but girls, don't put so much pressure on yourself at such a young stage in your career. As you could see, I already had one career change even during the apprenticeship scheme, and that's okay, right? Like, you've got so much time to make those decisions and make those alterations. So no, really look towards the subjects that you want to enjoy, and if that's appropriate for a certain sector, then absolutely it's worthwhile doing. But no, media studies didn't. Media studies was very, very helpful if you want to go into marketing and advertising. No, so if that is something you're interested in, I do recommend exploring that and having a chat with your media teacher.
Okay, well, thank you ever so much, Miss Lawrence and Miss Mohammed, for your time this morning.
Thank you, Miss.
Excellent talk, and thank you for sharing all your hints and tips too. So girls, I just want to finish before I hand over to Ms. Donahue by saying this presentation, this will be uploaded to your eCareers library. So go back through it and look like the career hacker that Miss Lawrence recommended. eCareers library, plenty of excellent resources for National Careers Week, such as your teachers sharing their careers stories, such as careers quizzes, subjects, careers linked to your favourite subject, and lots more. And finally, I will send around a student evaluation form, short 2-minute form to complete for this talk this morning. Thank you ever so much, Year 10, and thank you, Ms. Donahue, for having us.